All right, so I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular meeting of the Zoning Board, January 24th, 2023 at 7 p.m. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Coaster and Asbury Park Press by publication of the annual meeting notice and posted on the Municipal Bulletin Board and municipal website. All notices are on file with the board's secretary. Official action may be taken on the following matters before the board. Fire exits are located on the east and west sides of the council chambers as well as the back of the building. I ask everyone with a cell phone to please mute it for the duration of the meeting. And this meeting is being recorded by APTV. Mr. Serpico, please call the roll.
Okay, Daniel Harris, absent. John Scully.
Here.
Jill Potter.
Here.
Tim Slick.
Here.
Wendy Glassman.
Here.
Jose Alcaraz.
Here.
Russell Lewis.
Yeah, here.
Christopher Aloni.
Here.
There you go.
Thank you, sir. All right, just a few housekeeping issues first. Have we heard from Mr. McEwen in regards to the date? Was he happy with that date or not, Jack?
No, I haven't heard anything back. I suggest that we carry it to whatever date we said we were going to, as long as it doesn't conflict. And if he doesn't want it, well, then he'll pick a new date.
Okay, so I make a motion to carry 1109 Grand Avenue to February 28th, 2023 without notice.
I'll second.
I don't know my position anymore.
Okay. John Scully.
Yes.
Jill Potter.
Yes.
Tim Slick.
Yes.
Wendy Glassman.
Yes.
Jose Alcaraz.
Yes.
Russell Lewis.
Yes.
Christopher Aloni.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
All right, we'll move on to 1201 First Avenue. Mr. Fox,
While Mr. Fox is coming up, I'll swear in Donna.
Please.
She'll probably be with us. Please raise your right hand, you solemnly swear testimony about the witness matter, the truth, and the truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name and your affiliation with the board.
Donna Miller, board planner.
Great, thanks. Mr. Fox, the floor is yours.
We're here tonight to try to get complete so that we can be put on the agenda and hear the matter on a substantive basis. Last time there was some confusion, probably on my part. I had gotten a letter from Michelle Alonso, which you all should have my letter to the board dated January 12th, which outlines what's occurred here. In the letter, she indicated that actually on August 2, indicated that the zoning board grants the waivers, which I interpreted meant that the waivers were granted. And then we were placed on the meeting asked to publish, which is not required for a submission waiver hearing, so we were confused. So we're here tonight in order to see what you folks need in order to be able to address this application substantively. So we initially had asked for in our application, you have that before you, we submitted a survey of the existing conditions. We submitted a bunch of pictures of the existing conditions. Your application and checklist Part A submission documents, we asked for a waiver on item number 2 and number 5. On your plan requirements, Part B, we asked for a complete waiver on that and asked that you accept the survey. So I know we discussed last time, Mr. Chairman, you indicated you wanted to see something from us that showed what it would look like once the fences that are in the right-of-way are removed. And last time, I think we had a discussion about whether the city had actually granted the easement for the retaining walls,
yes.
which they now have.
I got a copy for,
Yeah.
can help you along.
Yeah.
I got a copy today. We got the ordinance, and I got a copy of the signed document that you submitted on
Right.
behalf of your clients.
Right.
That the wall is permitted, the fence is gonna come down. There's no other fence permitted in that area, so whatever fence is there obviously has to come down.
It's got to come down.
And,
So that's beyond our
we're beyond that one.
yeah,
And
that's not something we can discuss because that's something the city and the
we got a zoning
applicant.
permit for the air conditioning unit in its present location, so that's a non-issue. So realistically, what we need to do is find out from Donna what she needs from the applicant.
Yeah, and it's really not, I had noticed for C variances, but your ordinance specifically indicates that this is an exception, not a C variance. So we're really here for an exception under your ordinance for fences that don't technically comply with the requirements. So
But we'll get to that at the substantive hearing. More importantly, let's find out.
tonight's just, what do you need other than what
Yeah,
I've given?
let's find out what Donna needs to complete her review, and then we'll tell you, and then go ahead.
So basically, you need something that depicts what it is your client intends to retain, obviously outside of the right of way. So we have this survey.
So our application is to legitimize what's there. So the survey shows you what's there.
Well, the survey shows the location of what's there, not all of what it is. So in the checklist, item number 16, the height, style, and material shall be indicated in details. So we need to know the various heights, types, styles of fencing, because it's not all the same,
Yeah.
in its various locations, so that we can both assess its conformance or non-conformance. And the board can evaluate what isn't complying, whether it is going to pass whatever tests you guys provide proofs for. So, and
number
there
6.
are some photographs included in the application package.
Right.
But these are a little old, and again, they represent the existing condition. So, so you said they intend to retain everything, you want to legitimize whatever exists.
Correct. So the
Except for
photographs,
except for the stuff that's in the right of way.
Right.
So you're going to alter anything where this fence runs along Pine Street, right? Pine?
right, so to the extent that, and actually Mr. Chairman raised it last time, if as a result of us tearing down the existing fences in the right-of-way, we have to do something to modify what exists there, we will show that in a new plan between now and when you schedule us. So we'll do that. Obviously, we'll get you some newer photographs that clearly will show what exists there and the material. We'll provide information on the height of the various fences in the various areas. What else do you need?
Do we need any drawings to help in the
I mean, can we just indicate
visualization
that?
of what is going to go there? Or is that something that
Well,
you...
what's there?
Of what's there, right?
Yeah, I mean, so this is one of those that probably is a good idea for everybody to drive by and take a look at before.
Well, except that they raise a good, valid point, because part of, what we're trying to legalize here pertains to heights. And so you have multiple types of fences of different heights, and they're also on top of a retaining wall. And some of it's on top of a retaining wall, some of it's not on top of a retaining wall. So the stuff that's on top of a retaining wall is even higher, because we calculate, the total. So you need to understand the actual height of each section. So if you can do it on a photo board, where your client has taken a measurement, if that's acceptable to the board, so they're not, further encumbering billions of dollars on surveyors and whatnot. As long as we have a good understanding of what the different heights of the different sections of fence in combination with wall or not in combination of wall, and those types, again.
The materials.
The
The materials, the setbacks from the fence,
Right.
from the retaining wall.
Well, so that's shown on the survey.
the
So
setbacks.
some of it, we have some of
But where
it,
they're
we just
gonna
don't
put the
have
fence, I
enough of
meant.
it. I'm sorry?
Where they're gonna put the fence, I meant.
Well,
Like how
again,
far
wherever-
back, where is it gonna?
Wherever, if they are taking out any, that's
Right.
what has to be represented. Yeah.
Right.
But I think like a couple of photo boards or, just color photographs that are, with marker clearly legibly.
Essentially, we need graphics.
Yeah, we'll take some new pictures, we'll put it on a board, we'll have testimony that's going to indicate exactly where on the survey that particular picture relates to. And then on the board, we'll write in the height of the fence. If it's on top of a retaining wall, we'll indicate how high that retaining wall is on the board. Yes.
Yeah, I must have some pictures that I didn't take.
And that's your item number 16 on B.
Yeah, I think that's the
Right.
most critical element in the checklist out of everything else. I don't know that it matters that, you know, the plan has to be 24 by 36 and however many 11 by 17s. I think if we get, unless you want to direct them to provide, again, what it is you're asking for in a certain size, so that it's something that's legible for you. Do you want something 24 by 36? Do you want 11 by 17? Do you think 11 by 17 would be
It's gotta
sufficient?
be big enough for you to be able to see the dimensions.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you can read the dimensions with your.
And I can barely see.
All right, well, as long as you can see the dimensions, then they can see.
So, I think those are the most important things out of the checklist, to get the point across of what it is, that, you know, the relief that they actually need.
It gives you a complete picture.
That's
Dimensions, setbacks, style of fence, heights, the whole 9 yards, so you know what you're approving or disapproving.
And is that acceptable to everybody?
Are you in agreement? Mr. Fox?
Whatever you need, we're happy to give you so that we can get before you. I think it sounds like a reasonable proposal. We're not going to have to go out and hire somebody to do it. I think we can do it in-house and make it so that it's understandable for everybody. So I think is very helpful for my clients who are trying to keep the budget in tow.
We understand.
Okay. So, do they need to vote on that?
Yeah, with that
Probably
in
need a
mind,
vote.
We can vote it complete. We'll go through the formal motions of voting the application complete because of the way this application proceeded. And at the same time, let's set a meeting date for the future. And since they've already noticed, there would be no reason to renotice, that's for sure. And
Is February 28th amenable?
February 28th works for me.
Okay.
You guys good? Okay.
So that just means you have to get the copies into us
Yeah, that would be the only other issue. When do you need them?
Yeah.
by the 13th. I think we can turn something around in a reasonable amount of time from there. It's not like they're
Okay.
tremendous plans.
Fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like we're all on the same page?
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to deem the application complete based on those conditions.
I'll second.
And can the motion?
And in addition, a motion to carry the application to February 28th, 2023 without notice.
I'll second.
Could I ask that the motion include an agreement to waive the submission requirements in A and B other than item 16
Yeah, sure.
in B?
As we described.
Yeah, as we agreed to here.
Yes.
Yeah, and waive the other submission requirements.
And waive the other submission requirements with the exception of number 16.
Okay,
Yes.
and part of that, Mr. Fox, you'll waive any time constraints we have
Yes.
under the MLU, will?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Aloni, second by Mr. Lewis. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's call the roll. John Scully,
Yes.
Joe Potter,
Yes.
Tim Slick,
Yes.
Andy Glassman,
Yes.
Jose Alcaraz.
Yes.
Russell Lewis.
Yes.
Christopher Avaloni.
Yes.
Motion carries. We're on for the 28th of February.
You're the board secretary tonight?
Tonight I am, because she left and they asked me to cover. Yeah, you should have seen me last night. Thank you.
You double bill then tonight.
But every time I put in, I bill. Not here, but preparation for the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, on to,
Let's let the guys leave first
Sure.
and then. All right, there's a couple of things left on the agenda. there's been a lot of discussion about the charter school, so I wanted to update everybody. The charter school has been shuttered since March of 2020 due to COVID. The owner of the charter school has not decided at this point to reinstate students there. They have another location in Neptune that they're utilizing. Obviously, the information that was reported in the coaster was incorrect. So at this point, we have no jurisdiction and they've done nothing wrong. So there's nothing that we can do to ask them to come back to address.
Good.
Well, good.
Yeah,
Was there a time period on their approval? Has anything expired?
no idea.
No, we obtained jurisdiction indefinitely on the charter school as part of their resolution.
Yeah, and zoning officer went down and checked it out to verify.
No, she didn't go down. There was nobody to go down.
There was somebody.
There was a phone call made.
Yeah, I spoke to the office, they said they verified, they're
Yeah.
satisfied, there's nothing going on there. Maybe something down further towards Summerfield.
But we have no jurisdiction for that.
Yeah, it's not, so it's fine.
And I have a question for all of you. CCH, Donna, I don't know if you're aware, I had a discussion with Michael Sullivan, and we had talked about new people being on the board, and perhaps, it might be something worthwhile for the board to have a night of training. I'm not specifying this that you have to do it. If it's something that you all feel that it's necessary. CCH, Michael Sullivan has said that they would do it pro bono for the board. If that's something that you guys think is worthwhile, I can get back to him if everyone agrees to a certain date.
There's always something to learn.
Yeah, I would not say no to any
Absolutely.
sort of,
Absolutely. I would
Education.
love to join that.
yeah, me too.
Yes.
So Donna, you can report to Mr. Sullivan that the board is anxious and desirable of a night of training.
How about not a night, how about like an hour?
Well, that's not up to me.
I know, I'm kidding.
Well, why don't you guys talk amongst yourselves about some of the topics you feel you might be more interested in? We've seen some interesting stuff over the last couple of years. I know some of the newer members don't have that experience, but unless they've been watching the TV, watching APTV, past meetings, it's riveting. You really
Oh, I say if you want to get really into it, watch the charter school.
Oh, boy. I did that already.
Or advanced development. Oh, I wonder if that's on TV.
Or even The Mission, watch The Mission.
The mission, the miniseries.
Seventh Avenue Beach.
Planning board cases are good, yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Did you watch last night's meeting?
But how do we approach this,
Yes.
Donna?
Pick some dates, we'll see what we've got available. We just got appointed in Bayonne, so things get tricky, for us, meeting-wise. But yeah, if there's a topic you guys want to talk about.
Well, perhaps Michael and I can have a discussion about something that, we could come up with an agenda that might be beneficial to the whole board.
Well,
Because they're going to be varying levels of interest based on, like Jose's brand new, and Russell and I are old people. Sorry.
Or what if Michael were to suggest some topics based on his assessment of where we are as a board, given what he's heard us say, what's been presented before us, he may have in his mind
So
some
for
things that
him-
we really need some work on, and
For him, it's a little tricky because he doesn't get to see you guys that much. His only experience has been the vet, which 90% of you did not participate in. And just now, the cannabis, which we can't talk about unless we're,
No.
so,
Email
he
me.
doesn't have a lot of insight into stuff we've been talking about. But, we did have, non-conforming use right? Expansion of non-conforming use, use of non-conforming uses.
A lot of people don't understand that, in particular, non-conforming uses, Donna, so.
Or we can even just talk about, you know, you guys are kind of separated from the planning board. And we talk about the master plan, we talk about the goals and recommendations. But we can, you know, spend some time bringing you guys up to speed on how the master plan comes to be and why and how it fits in to your role as the zoning
I mean,
board.
you don't, let me just throw something out there. You don't want to know specific ordinances in town, do you? Or is that something that you like to understand as well?
I think the ones that pertain to us the most would be helpful. Or how they go about drafting a report based on the application that they get. Like, how do you guys look at it and then come up with your report?
Yeah, see.
That would be helpful.
Right, I think sort of in line with what Jill's saying, it's a process and a methodology of how you approach a problem.
It starts with me screaming.
After that.
Do you
So,
want one that comes from a violation, or do you want one that just comes out as a, I want to do something?
That might be an interesting way to approach it too, Donna, how
Because we
the,
do get those applications.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have like a, yeah, to have like
We just had
a
tonight to.
test drive dummy.
Scratch.
yeah, could we have one of each, but not, again, you know, not
You know,
3 hours worth, but
I've always
Sorry.
found the challenge for me is how narrow our scope is on many applications, and we're I believe, at least in my understanding, is that oftentimes, you know, we can only look at this when you want to look at everything else, and sometimes zoning can be very narrow. And for us to understand the boundaries of where we can play the game can be very challenging sometimes. And I've noticed myself and other board members over the years that we get off course and we start dealing with a lot of things that are really, you know, out of the court a little bit.
All boards.
Yeah. So
but then I
The
think there are
zoning
other
board.
situations where we actually, we have the ability to think more broadly than we do. And so I think maybe knowing those, where you can, where you can't, where those lines are important, because sometimes I
Understand that
think
the
that.
lines is in law, anything in law, they're not always clear.
Right.
They're clear to all, to.
I think in law there are no lines.
There
are lines,
Everything
there
is
are
time
lines.
sensitive, you know, and application sensitive, so the lines, there are some things, yes, no. You put an industrial use on, you know, First Avenue in the residential district, clearly you can't do that, that's a use variance situation. But there are other things that, you know, you start to get down the path and you start expanding it and contracting as to what the role are and what you can look at and what you can't.
Well,
But I
like
think
for instance, a lot of people want to ask
it's
financial
some-
questions.
Yeah.
And that's like automatically, it's a question that's not supposed to be asked, yeah.
Or ownership.
Yeah, as long as they file a prerequisite application with the signature of the property owner and whatever the rules say, and they've complied with that, which should have taken long since taken care of before it gets to you. Finances are irrelevant.
Right.
That's not zoning and planning, that's business. Or personal business, or it's either commercial business or personal business.
you're right, or the tax
You know,
implications.
The first applicant
Yeah,
came in,
yeah.
and they said, well, we gotta get a return on the investment, and Russell said, perhaps you paid too much money for the property. He should have never said what he said. Russell, him, but Russell gave him the right answer, because he walked right into it. I said, okay, and I can tell they're not used to this. And that attorney just let him say what he said, so you right away said, well, then you're telling us that you gotta do this and put all this in this one corner because you need to get a return on your investment. That's about like taking.
And that is something we don't even consider as this board.
They've blown the case. They've blown the case.
So I know I'm very new on this, but I would like to know what is the sequence and the steps.
Yes.
So what happens when the application comes, if it
Yeah.
complies, if it not complies, what is the average time frame? What are the steps?
Time frame.
That actually,
No, but in the time frame is you know that.
There are specific timeframes
Yes.
within the statute that certain actions are, just like Jack is always asking everybody, do you waive the time?
but that varies based on application as well, Donna.
Sure.
So,
The type of
and the type of
application.
application. But applications could be pending for years. We have applications that have never been deemed complete. They're just sitting out there somewhere in the ether.
So in a way, it's what happens to those, right? It's like, where is the end? Or
What happens
if
to
there
those?
is no end, then it's good to know that there is no end.
No, there is an end. Once Michelle deems an application complete, the clock starts ticking based on the type it is. And we have a certain amount of time to have begun to hear it and to answer that application. But it can go on a long time, like the charter school, it went on 6 months, Jose, because each night that we held, we were incomplete with all the testimonies. So we would carry it to another date, and they would waive they would extend the time on it. So the time would keep ticking. The mission went on for, I don't know how long, Jack?
Couple of years.
Couple of years.
Yeah, the Beach Club took almost 2.
2 years.
Yeah, there's a process.
But in a way, it's
Yeah, the land use
process
law,
and what
there's
happens.
once it gets to us, we have the ability to take the time that we need to get the case heard properly and decided on. If an applicant comes in and says, well, we're not going to extend the time, the answer is obvious. Well, without that information, how are we going to grant you the relief you're looking for? Based on the information submitted, then you want us to vote. And if they say yes, I'm doing this 45 years, nobody's ever said that. If anybody foolishly says that, say, okay, then you're gonna vote. You're gonna vote what's in front of you, and they're gonna wind up getting denied and go home. And their client's gonna hang it. Okay? But in terms of what goes on up front, there's a timeline. Michelle has, development coordinator has so much time within which to deem an application complete or incomplete. If you deem it incomplete within that period of time, you send a letter saying why, then it goes on, and then once they submit, then you have so much time, and then you have so much time from the date it's deemed complete to get an application on the agenda.
Barbara used to keep a timeline
I
chart.
made her,
Yeah.
years ago.
They still have it on the whiteboard upstairs.
Yeah, I said, if you can't keep this on a computer, put it in an old-fashioned
Well, wouldn't that be
timeline.
useful to make a picture of, just so that, again, so just you have an idea in your head of, this is what happens behind the scenes before, right?
Or you
I
go
have another
into the office and
suggestion.
say,
Yeah.
hi, could you show me what you do?
Walk upstairs.
What if we, since we have different, each of us have different questions or things that
Well,
we want to
Hannah, let me
understand.
ask,
But
how many of you have gone to the classes? Have any of you gone to the classes?
we had to.
Well, there's one
But
class
not everybody's
that's
overlapped
required.
Right.
timelines.
There's only one that's required, Donna. Nobody's gone to other classes.
Oh, nobody did the advanced?
No.
Do they still have the pamphlet?
But here's what I'm wondering, what if
Yeah.
each of us,
Yeah, that was pretty good.
sent in the suggestions, right?
What you're
I'd like
most
to hear
interested
about
in,
this,
yeah.
right? And let's say we say just, we're gonna spend 2 hours, right, at this session. And,
Only if there's
It could be
snacks.
done.
I can only
The
do 2
answer-
hours if there's snacks.
okay, but it, pretty much can be done off the cuff. It's not like we're
Well,
asking
what you can do
anybody
also
to
is-
prepare materials.
Why don't
So
you
we can
submit
put
your
a
questions?
list together. Well, that's what I just
Yeah,
said.
submit questions, and then they can say, okay, based on this, well, this is what we're gonna do, but we'll try and address all these questions.
Right.
And we don't have to do one, I mean,
Yeah, it's,
if
you
you want
can
to
do
do,
one more.
But why
if
don't we
3
just-
people want to get together for a certain topic, we'll do that. And if 2 other people want to get
I
together.
think it's a
for
great
another topic,
idea.
we'll do that.
Submit all your questions to me, and then I will funnel them into Michael and
Yeah,
Donna.
Mike,
Okay,
we'll
great.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just.
But we're gonna need some dates though, Donna. I mean, like, how would we do this on another night, like Wednesday or
Again, it depends
Thursday?
on, so if you're a quorum, we have to be here, right?
Right.
It's gonna
Oh,
be
wow.
a public meeting.
Yeah, once you have a quorum, anytime you have constituted
Right.
quorum, you have to notice it. It has to be a meeting.
But if it's only, what's quorum here for?
5. We have 9 members.
We have 8 members.
Sorry, 7. Zoning board is,
6, 7, 8.
zoning board is
members.
7. Yep, that's.
Oh, right, alternate.
Zoning board consists of 7, a quorum is 4, except a quorum is 5 for use variance.
Right.
But in general matters, it's 4.
So if there's just 3 people that want to have a particular topic discussed, we can be much more flexible because we don't have to be here and be in a public meeting.
I mean,
Russell
although
wants
I
to
don't-
have it on his front porch and we
Right.
kick back and enjoy some cocktails, we can do that.
That's the problem with having it.
I have it at my house.
But I don't think we were thinking about, were we really thinking about any one topic being a 2-hour topic?
Once you
I-
get started, I can tell you I've done this. It's gonna take a couple hours. Because
No, on one question?
No, but it wouldn't, you wouldn't, I don't think you'd meet on one question.
No, that's what Don was saying, if only a couple of people are interested in one thing, and I said, I don't think that's what.
Well, let's start with this one thing first.
Yeah.
Submit your questions to me
Yeah.
and your topics and your ideas. I will
And then
review
we
it
can
with
get a
Donna
sense
and
of-
Michael
yeah,
and see how we
get
can
that
work
in
this
an
out.
hour, or
Yeah.
we need more than an hour, yeah.
Then we can go and try to figure out how we do it without a
Just ask
quorum.
Donna as well, that there used to be a pamphlet that the planning organization throughout the state issued, and she said they still have it, and I always thought, if I remember correctly, I haven't seen one in years. It's somewhat instructional for lay people, that, as opposed to planners and attorneys, so it might help.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know. When I used to be a planning board secretary a jillion years ago, yeah, that was something that we gave to all new board members.
Right.
But I don't know what you guys get.
I've always encouraged the staff to order a couple
We get
copies
this.
of Cox Treatise.
We don't get
I've always
anything
told
that way.
the staff to order 1 or 2 copies of the Cox Treatise every year to keep in the office for the board members. Okay? And you keep in the library, because they change every year, every little subtle things that I have to be aware of, she has to be aware of, that there's new cases coming out. But the essence of them, and I said, leave them as a reference library up there, so that you should order them. But, the other towns I worked in, they got a few of them. They gave the planner one, they gave the attorney one, and they always had 1 or 2 up there, so that you can go and look. If you have a question, well, that's what a lot of us look at in general. If we have to do more detailed research, certainly we will. But that treatise is a good place to go to get a general idea beyond the pamphlet. So why they don't order them, I have no clue.
Because they're $130.
Well, so what? I was in the
Yeah,
Highlands,
really,
which
so
is
what?
one,
We
much,
just had
much
chairs,
smaller town.
Jack. They just gave us chairs.
They used to order 4 or 5 copies of this thing as standard operating procedure every year.
I don't even get a name tag.
No, Asbury, I buy my own. I
You know
pay
your
for
name,
it every
Chris.
year. But, and then they're up there, if you need to see something beyond what we say, you take it, and on a cold, snowy day, when you're not going out of the house, you take a look at it,
I love sitting by the fireplace with my
or a glass of wine, or whatever it is.
version of Cox. I read about these variances.
What could be better?
To me, it's exciting stuff, because that's what I do for a living. So.
So let's just start with that. We'll start with some ideas and topics, and you can funnel them to me, and then I'll have a discussion with Donna and Michael and see where we go.
Could we meet off-site? And
As long
it-
as you're not a quorum.
As long as it's not quorum, I see.
Or you can also go to a Zoom session if you want, if you need to do it, so nobody has to come here.
Oh, we could.
And that can be a public meeting.
Open public meeting.
It can be a public meeting, and then, although I may not be in attendance at a regular meeting, but if I'm needed, I'm not sitting there and
That's a good idea,
kick in.
A Zoom,
I'll donate whatever time I have to, I don't.
a Zoom is not a bad idea.
yeah.
That it kind of eliminates the public. I don't see many public wanting to sit there through a training
If they do.
session on zoning.
And if they do, they're welcome.
Yeah. Okay,
All right,
so you got that, okay?
so I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
No,
No,
Oh,
for staff appointments.
oh, staff appointments, yes, yes.
Resolutions, you have a packet of resolutions in front of you, they're all voted unanimously. The only resolution that's not included is,
Temporary attorney.
temporary, which we don't need, but everything else in there for the professional staff, is there, as well as APTV. And I sent out emails both days to both boards, to the secretaries and Michelle, that they've got to publish the notice of these, retaining us, and ultimately keep the resolution and a copy of the signed contract available for public inspection.
So I make a motion to approve the resolutions for all the board professionals and board secretary.
Second?
Who's second, John? Okay, John Scully,
Yes.
Joe Potter,
Yes.
Tim Slick,
Yes.
Andy Glassman,
Yes.
Jose Alcaraz,
Yes.
Russell Lewis.
Yes.
Christopher Evelyn.
Yes. And now I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All in favor? A second?
Second.
Scully, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, we stand adjourned.